hence the iPhone, because there's my video recorder. It is totally dead. It's approaching 30 degrees here, so everything's starting to die from the batteries. There's my battery. I have 3 of those. They must not have been charged all the way. So let me get my little screw and I'll imitate. So this side got put in successfully. You can see the board goes all the way across. Here is the screws that go through. That's the real long ones. Everyone is in. You have to remember, the board is on an angle. So you can't put the screws directly in because you'll pop out the back and you won't hit the board properly. So when you put the screws in, you have to make sure you start it straight because it wants to start straight, but then you turn it up. So it's on an angle, so it goes into the wood behind it. And you can see my black lines, and we added a bolt, screw, however you want to call it, to every black line all the way down. The one on the end, the black line is according to the screws they put in when they built the underlay. But you can see where I couldn't hit it, so I had to move over and how far off I am from the black. You can tell if it's hitting the screw because the pitch will stay the same. It will get lower as you get deeper. If it gets higher, you've missed the board. So now the next part is have my beam up for my roof support. I have my 2x6s. Now I got to put a bracket at the very end here and run a 2x6 and bolt it, screw it to the outside of this. That's going to pick my pitch. That's where I figure out my pitch. I make sure I can walk under it, make sure it doesn't go down too far, make sure it's still good. I still have a good pitch, and then that pitch will be copied because I'll take that and put another one on that side. Then the other one of these boards get put up all the way across between those two. And that's when everything starts going together. So yes, I'm on my iPhone right now. I'm gonna see what I can do about showing little things because I have limited time up here. I do not live at this house, so I have to keep working even though I have no battery and the battery chargers are charging inside. See you in a bit. So I'm ready to put my beam up on this end. So the beams are going to go up in these brackets. They're going to go up because I can bolt them straight and I have to worry. I'm still going to run a bolt from the back if I have access to it. It's going up where the beam ends up going. So with that being said, I have no access because of the gutter. So this beam is going to hook up like that next to the gutter so I can use it as a guide. So I'm going to put that up and I'm going to run that way. Screws I'm using, deck screws, putting those in. They won't go through the whole board, but they'll hold up. I'm using another screwdriver and low speed. I had a piece of wood that broke. The end was broken. It's broken as you can see, but it stays together enough as a measuring tool. That way I can figure out where my beam goes. For my support that I left over here. I don't know if you can hear me now. I'm going to raise my voice a little bit. I don't have my microphone because I don't have, obviously, the camera working. I'm not going to hook this on here first, which I would normally do sometimes. Because A, this is just a piece of crap wood. B, this isn't really where it's going. Let's figure out where it goes. It's going to go right there. Screw goes in first. Unscrew in. Verify. That's where we're actually going to go. That's where it's going to go, just like that. So we're set. Now I can put the second screw in. I should hold up my beam on one end. So I got one half done. Okay, so I'm ready to put that beam up. I have my level. I don't need my ladder because I can reach. But out of all the different beams, if they're wet, you want to pick the one that's least wet. So here's another little secret for us guys or girls or other that are doing projects alone. The biggest pain in the rear is when you're trying to level something and the level falls. Now if you're with people, oh, pick it up, put it up. When you're alone, you're kind of screwed because there's no way to get it. You throw everything down. So what do? Tape the level to your piece of wood. So we're going to tape the level to the piece of wood. Since this is a channel of one person doing things, so one person doing this, you have to tape the level on so it doesn't fall off. You do want to make sure if it's wet wood that the tape goes all the way around. That way you're not taping to the wood, you're taping to the other piece of tape at the other end. Because as we know, the blue tape, and it'll mark, and it wants to come off. Come on. So I don't know how much editing I can do because, if I remember right, my batteries died. And I can't just stop building because I have no batteries. So now I'm taping up the level to the piece of wood I want to level. That way I don't have to worry about it falling. I don't have somebody giving me the level. I don't have somebody handing me and helping. I just have to tape to the tape all the way around. Level will stay on my piece of wood. I have my drill. All the wood under me is sturdy so I can stand on. So I don't fall off. So I pick up my piece of wood, put it in my support that I put up. And then I'm not cutting anything. All I'm doing is getting it level to where it is. And I'm going down until the level is on the second notch. And we're going to try that. Put our screw in. Stand back here behind the camera to make sure it goes downhill. That doesn't look like it goes downhill enough. Check the level. I can do another inch. Take it out. Go down an inch. And go back in. Now I got a pitch. Now the water will run off. I'm good with that. Hey, if it gets any colder, we won't have rain, we'll have snow. That'd be kind of neat. So now I'm getting ready to do the other side. You can see the bracket is there. Put the bracket on, measured from the bottom of the wood to the bottom of the bracket. Put this bracket same place on the other bracket. Now the next thing to do is where do we put the beam? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from the bottom of the beam to the top, not of the piece of wood it's sitting here, but the top of the deck. Because you know the deck is level, that's what we're going to be walking on. We want the same level from the deck, not of here, but from the actual deck. So if I do that, I am looking at 76 inches at the end. So somebody that's 6'4", above 6'4", can't stand directly next to where you're going to be sitting. So with that being said, I think we're safe, so we don't have to worry about height issues. So we're exactly 76. With being exactly 76, now we get a couple screws. We go over here. We rotate. Go over here to this side. I'm going to do the same thing and mark it. And I'm going to measure it again. Just to make sure. From this deck. I have a straight loop. And that is 77. Tape has to be straight, because every curve it makes takes away from the measurement. So that's straight right there. That should be where our beam goes. All the way around. So now I'm not concerned about level. I'm concerned about location. So with that being said, I'm going to take my piece of wood, which happens to be very wet. Put it up here. I'm going to take my piece of wood and put up here. So now I'm going to go on the other side with my mark that I have made that is exactly 76 inches and put up my other beam. And then we'll have 4 sides. All we need then is connecting from the left to the right. That should be real fun to do. all is well, that's my 76 right there. And that's my other beam. Looks like the right pitch. So it gets in all the way. So now I'll just add my second screw, which I can always take out, but I'm saying it's right, so I'm going to put it in. Okay, so it's time to put our beam up that goes all the way across from side to side. That's a little easier to do because you measure the width of the beam. You want the top to level this because it's a roof, it has to run off. So the bottom, we make a mark. It's exactly the width of this, from the top of this to the bottom. Now we have a mark. It's also easier because you know exactly where the screws are going to go. Which means you can take two of the screws and you can countersink them into the ends. I would say probably in the middle at one end and the bottom at the other end. Why at the bottom? Remember, we're only one person again. So when we put this board up, the bottom over here is going to be closest to where it's going to be. That end is going to be held up by just put next to the, I guess you could call it the outside dinner table thing we have. Or the banister, but it's not. It's wider so you can put dishes on. We're going to replace that too. We have a new one of those when we get done with everything else. So put these as close as we can to where it's going to be. That one lines up straight. Push it right strict so it's all the way against the beam. And we can verify our distances. Make sure everything's just right. If you're wondering, by the way, this is on that beam. This is on the outside of this beam. The ends of this roof are going to be off at this end by 1.5 inches farther in than that end. All the other beams are going to be straight, but the ends are going to be a little bit off. I decided to do that because it's stronger when you bolt directly into this without having a beam there, and you bolt on the outside of this. So that is a design thing I've decided to do. I'm building, so I've decided that 1.5 inches off above the roof that you won't ever see because it's going to be covered is fine. So looking at this, if I put this right at the end of where it belongs, and I look at the other end of this, this is kind of rickety. I'm over just a hair from what I should be. So before I put it up, I am going to cut that with my saw. So when I do put it up, it will fit without an issue. Go back over to this side and put my beam up. as close to where it belongs as I can get. So I know I'm an inch up, so I gotta be an inch out and an inch over, right where it belongs. So that right there should be about right. Bringing it enough to hold it. Now I'm coming over to this side. This side, I now have a pivot point so I can lift this up. And I can level it. This one in. Now I'm going to go back over to this side. If you look at the distance, even though it was right a minute ago, now since we re-leveled everything, if you look at it, it is off. It doesn't line up at the very top. Again, sorry for the wiggly and like that. My camera is completely dead. I have to get this done today, so I've rigged up an iPhone thing and a very wiggly old tripod. Usually I use a Canon video camera. I have a full Canon NX40 that I purchased, which I told the story a little while back. I don't know if it's on there or not because I was having camera problems, from my son so I can record his band during football games. So since I have a full video camera system, NX40 was used in a couple movies when they were inside caves and like that. It's a very good 4K camera. At least it was when I bought it. The way things change, right now it might be anciently old for all I know. So this side is level. My roof. Wiggly wiggly. Go to this side. Of course, now the blue tape holds. When you're running to use it, it doesn't hold. Now it holds. Get my level off there. We know it's not level, it's too pitched. And this is also good at the end. So I'm good on both sides. So now I'm going to cause a L. I'm going to put a screw. Oops, sorry. I'm going to put a screw in the end that goes into this piece of wood. I already have screws going into this, and then I'm going to put screws in this going into this. So this is going to be a very solid corner that not much is going to move. I use 2 7/8 inch wide long for the ends while I'm putting things together. I use 4 7/8 to actually put it in. That makes a seam that will not go away. I'm leaving the 2 inch in place, but overall, it doesn't do anything. I'm ignoring it. It just happens to be there. Now, just because I like being there, I'll make this crooked so that's straight. Just because I like being as exact as I can, let's see how exact we actually are. here to here. What you can do is you don't have to hold the measurement, the tape measure for the whole thing. You can find a spot and kind of hold it as you go. As long as it doesn't move like it just did, that works. Go as far as you can go with it staying, hold it, then you can measure the rest from there. So I'm 92 1/4. My tape measure up. Go as far as I can. Hold it as that. 92 1/4. So I basically lined up the posts with the posts that were put in for the floor. So we put the floor post in and we lined up the rest of it. That's on a different video. This is the interesting part. I have not put a level on this piece of wood. So according to this, that side has to come up some. So even though all the measurements are right, even though everything is fine, it's still a little bit off. Still in the level point, but it's a little bit off. Why start a project when it's not right? All I gotta do is move the screws out. I'll take my level, a little closer to me over here. I don't have to tape it because I'm not actually moving the piece of wood. Not a big deal. Raise the end. I have to raise the outside piece just a hair. So now I'll put my screws in the middle beam. Level back over here on a lower level. Make sure I'm focusing on the hook up. I'm gonna hook this up to here. And we should be fine. That's what we did today. We took off the gutter. We put the board up. We put a side board up. We figured out the pitch. We worked with the pitch all the way around. We now have a surround where the roof goes. If I walk over here and I stand, I'm still gonna be not hitting the roof. It's gonna be low, but it's gonna be low because this is so high because we didn't plan on a roof when we built the deck. But the deck is level with the inside, so you can be able to walk straight out. If I was planning on putting a roof out here, maybe I would put a step in front of the deck, in front of the doors. But either way, that's not what we did. And we don't want to rebuild things we've already done because we do have limited time on doing things. So I want to do things that are going to work. So hopefully we're good. I'm now going to go from there. Okay, we're back. Here's the question. where do I decide to put my beams? The answer is you've already answered it. Your beams get put in according to the material that you purchased. If you purchase 2-foot material that's 2 foot wide, you want it to overhang one entire seam. So you want your new material to come to the top of this one. So you're overhanging, so you've already decided where your beam's going to go. With this material, my beam's going to go right there. And then I put my next piece on. My beam's going to go where that goes. And I go all the way down and put my beams in. Everyone should be the same length, so I can cut them all. I'm going to measure to verify that. They all should be the same length. I put my supports up at this end. I bolt through at that end. They go to the top. This is a fairly quick process. How long are they? Board to board. How wide are they? It's all according to the materials that you purchased. Which is this. This is the material I chose to purchase. It's going to go all the way to the edge. I'm going to put a nice coat of sealant silicone on that end. I'm going to be putting a beam. So my beam comes in this way, connects. I'm going to be putting another piece of wood that goes from here to here, that goes right up to the top of this to connect. So that's all going to be sealed. So a piece of wood here, piece of wood there, piece of wood there, and a piece of wood there. So every one of these is going to be supported on all 4 sides. That's the goal, to make it supported on all 4 sides. That way the roof is flimsy, but it's not going to go anywhere because it's supported. I'm also going to take the extra step and put a bead of sealant down the seams when I put it on. So any gaps or any places, it's going to A, seal those gaps, and B, it's going to add, this one is going to be glued to that one, so I won't have a space in between for things to move. Which they won't, because it'll be a piece of wood actually holding it all down. And all of this is going to be held down with wood screws that have washers on them, which is the same screws they used up there on the roof. So I'm basically using the same screws the roofers used when they put the roof in the middle right there. So those screws are the same screws I got. So I can do the same thing. Why didn't I use roof panels that matched my other roof exactly? A, they have to be custom ordered. B, they're designed to last like 50 years. C, they're 10 times more expensive than using these. And since this is a roof for a porch, not to seal your house in, it's going to get damp, it's going to get wet underneath. I don't need something that's designed to last 50 years when I can easily just put another piece on top of it, because it's the same stuff they sell everywhere. If you have a leak, you add a piece in between, and now the leak is sealed. Okay, let's get going. I find it better if I do the side on one side. Then I put the piece of wood in. Then I tighten it up and then do the other side. Instead of doing both sides and it not being straight, I do it that way. Now I can hold the back of this right to there. Piece I just put up. And it gives me a measurement to here, which is 76 5/8. Now I cut my piece of wood. Now normally I would cut this straight, but if that's my top measurement, I know that I come down a little bit at an angle. And with me coming down at an angle, I'm going to pivot it just a bit. That's going to be my side. Now I'm putting a piece of wood up so we'll hold the beam. Again, one person. Doesn't have to be tight, doesn't have to be anything, it just has to be existing. So when I put the board up, I can screw that side in and have this being held there. And then I can screw the other side in. So I'm going to set up by moving my ladder outdoors on the other side of this. I'll use it to put that end piece in and screw that beam in place. There. Have my drill, have my ladder, and have my screws. Piece of wood. Piece of wood up. Put it in this bracket. Lift it up. Move it over. That should be it. Put a couple screws on this side. And then put a couple screws on that side. Put this side up on this side with 2 screws. And now I'll put the other side of my support into the wall. Tape measure, tape measure. piece of wood I said I was going to put here, that piece of wood is going to be 18 inches. So I need to take a 2x4, start cutting pieces off that as well. Let's get this up. Do a measurement over here. We are 20 1/4. I want to be the same over here no matter what. Already there. So I have my ladder ready to go. I have my screws ready to go. I know I'm lined up right. So I'm going to take one screw and put in, start it. And then I'm going to hold my beam up. Screw it in place. Do my 2 screws. Then I can take this off. Now I got one roof beam up. So now I take my screws and I go all the way around. Another point for a fast forward scenario. Do one at the front end and do one at the back end. You don't go straight down yet until you're sure everything is straight. So you put one in one corner so it doesn't move. Then you line up the rest of the corners. Remember, the beam on that outside is a little bit crooked. So we're lining it to this, which is squared. That is what it is. The other beams are what we have to worry about. Okay, so I've got some of them done. I'm just making this because I've changed the system. Remember I was going to put that beam and put the supports? So now I'm doing the old-fashioned way. I put a beam in, the beam is level, right there at the end. Then I put a support, bolt that to the beam or screw it to the beam, then screw one from the back to the front, so that's support. Then I put the next one in and I'm going to continue that all the way down to the end. So I'm no longer going to use those metal supports that go at the last two. I think it doesn't look good and it looks unsightly, and that looks a lot better. And then I still put 2 screws at the end of every one of these beams, and this gets cut off later. Okay, I'm just going to continue doing this Sorry, I can't have the video running at the same time, but it's next projects are going to be much better. Okay, another update. I've done quite a bit, and what I've found is that one thing you have to make sure you do is that when you put the cross beams, you want to make sure it's on a down, not on an up, on a down. That way you can screw it down tight. Just want to let you know that. I think I have like 3 pieces left, and I have 3 pieces left. So I'm just at the end, and I might just have enough to finish. No extras. So hopefully everything goes well. Okay, so now I'm on top of the roof. I tried a couple different ways of doing things. The foam, I found out, is a big sponge, so it just kind of sponges the water from the top of the roof to under the roof. I did sponge the bottom up though, but I did a test on roof goo, I call it, wet patch, pool repair. I was told that this works great to seal exactly what I'm doing. So I'm taking my knife spatula thing, minus the leaf. Taking my knife spatula thing, I'm putting a bunch of this underneath the roof and pushing it back and actually sealing up that gap in the back. This does work. It seals the gap between the new roof and the old plate. You can see some of the foam left over I took out. I did do it down there and test it. And if you look down there as well, you can see there's a drip pan plate underneath. The roof guy I talked to says the best thing to do is to put a drip plate. That way the sun never actually hits this. It never dries, it never gets rough. It always stays gooey, and it completely fills the gap. That's my goal. So I'm going to take another plate and put on this side after I get done filling in with my wet roof patch using a very flexible item. That way I can get in there good and fill that gap up. You can see the gap here. See where it comes down, and you can see over there where the gap is gone. It's the black that comes up. That's what you want. So here's my plate I'm putting back in the back. So I put the other one down there. So I'm cutting this one so it's a little bit longer. And I'm going to put the goo on the back of this. And I'm going to pin it up and slip it under, push it back. And right where every one of these are, because I can get to it, down here I can't. Up here I can. I'm going to put a flathead screw, self-drilling screw, to hold them together. I don't have to put goo on the front of the plate because I'm going to put it behind the plate. That way it's sealed across there and nothing should be able to get back in there. And yes, I did buy this in the tubes, and I tried doing it in the tubes, but I got 1/3 of the other one done with 3 tubes. So the price of tubes compared to the price of the gallon, and the fact that I finished and I still have a bunch of this gallon left, I'll use it somewhere. I would suggest buying the gallon and just doing the flexible knife or something flexible. Maybe a spatula you cut down to be small that you can get in that groove to put it in. So let me install this last piece. So this is the final for the roof. The roof has been done. A couple of things changed since I was doing it. You can see the side center supports all the way down the middle. You should put center supports. That way, since you're dealing with the little bit of roof on top holding everything in place, if the wood for some reason wants to warp, it will destroy your roof. So you put the center supports, that way the beams in the roof will not bend because of the weather, because of the temperature. Yes, that little beam, I keep forgetting to take that off. That's from holding the beam up. However, I did add the counter. So the counter is now done. Put the new 12-inch wide counter all the way across. There used to be an older one that was not pressure treated, so it got really icky. And I had to cut grooves, and the grooves weren't very good, so I changed the counter. You can see the foam everywhere because I do plan on putting a roof on a ceiling on the inside of this. So I want to insulate from any breezes or anything coming in from that. The next project on this particular roof, once I get up here, the next project is going to be all around the corner here. I'm going to put a 1x8 here, and I'm going to drill a hole in the middle, and there's going to be lights all on the edge. They're on a dimmer. This is going to be rewired. That light's going to be taken out. All this is going to go up, drill holes through here to run my outdoor wire, and put lights across this edge, all the way down here, and right here at the end, because of the table, I'll be putting a three-way light that has 3 lights that's going to shine on the table, so you can put light in that area without a light completely above it. You can see my wind curtain, which is not going to be staying, doesn't fit what I want. But that's it. This is where the project has ended up. Sturdy as can be. So next time, next project, next time we revisit here is going to be doing electrical and doing the lights. I'm also going to be drilling a hole through the wall and putting a switch panel on the inside of this wall, which does not currently exist. So we'll have 3-inch lights being put in, the mounting of the lights, the electrical of the lights, hooking up the inside panel, and hooking up the dimmer on the outside for the lights. I did make a comment that I was going to be cutting the edge off this. Fact is, I kind of like that big edge. When it rains and water drips down, it's far away from where you're actually going to be eating if you're eating on the counter. So that gives you enough space to be eating and not have to worry about what's going on outside, or doing something, or doing a puzzle, or who knows what you're going to be doing on the counter. But I think I'm going to leave that like that. It's sturdy, it's corrugated, so I don't have to actually do it. It is screwed, as you remember, all the way across that edge. So I only have a foot that's not screwed. It doesn't really move. So I think I'm going to leave it. Till next time, Scamp Villa has a roof. Scamp Villa also has a driveway. The next video is me getting all the rock and putting the rock in for the driveway. So till next time, enjoy your projects. It's just little me doing stuff alone, getting projects done, and fixing a few things in between.